So we're continuing to talk about this, and this is Bernard and Doris.
You said it Bernard, eh?
I don't know.
Okay.
Then we're going to continue talking about the Indigo girls, mention that, and Stanleyville, because we were cut short yesterday. There's James's meal. It's the tacos again, and that's made with this soup mix. Now you can see some of these tomatoes do not look great, and I don't know if I'm going to put them in a canning thing. I have a few tomatoes in there that don't look great either. Those ones are Tiny Tim's. This one's a Stupus, and then the rest are just mixed up here. So there's lots and lots of, you can see so many. This is definitely a record day for tomatoes.
Like 15 plus. You go with pounds?
I've been going with pounds.
There we go, 15. I think the record so far has been, what, 13?
Maybe so.
I think it's going to be more than 15.
I don't really know what I'm going to do with all these when I weigh them. I don't have...
Okay, just let me pull this over.
Thank you. I'm going to eat watermelon while I talk about this, and then I'm going to weigh these tomatoes, because I have just so much to do here, and I don't have enough space, and I'm very thirsty, and I want to eat water. That's all. So.
Eat water. That's a good way to put it.
Eat watermelon.
Watermelon.
Yeah. So, I'm going to get this out of the way so it's not blocking my face. And
how about if I move these like so they don't fall down?
Crazy, sure. So, we were talking about this, and I'm just going to say again, we were cut short while reviewing the Indigo girls. So I'm going to mention Bernard and Doris, get it out of the way. This is excellent. I didn't really care for it. It's based on a true story. Didn't really care so much about the story. So I didn't rate it that highly because of that. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars or something like that. But as far as acting goes, this is a 5 out of 5. I mean, you have Susan. Nobody could have told this story better. I just don't think that the story is really so
gripping.
Yeah, it's I don't really care about this these characters that much, but some people really would. Some people are really interested in the lives of the rich and famous or whatever.
I wonder if the rich and famous are that interested about their own lives. It must be awfully boring to be the average rich and famous person.
This is a story about Doris Duke and her devoted Irish butler, Bernard Lafferty. And honestly, it's it could be told a very different way, because you get the at the end of the movie they say they're, I guess I'm kind of giving it away, but people probably know the story if they're going to bother to watch it, or most people would. I'm just going through a Susan Sarandon Marathon, so this is why I picked this out. But anyway, I was wondering when I looked at the cover, I'm like, why did they go blonde for her? You know, which she looks beautiful blonde, but she has red hair naturally, and that beats blonde as far as I'm concerned. But I didn't realize that this was based on a true story about these people. So anyway, at the end of the movie, they have some writing in there saying that he was, people were thinking maybe he was responsible, that murder was mentioned, all sorts of things, right? He was definitely, I mean, he had substance abuse issues, so went through a lot of her wine. But it turns out though she was kind of a tough lady about that sort of thing or whatever with other people, she really let him get away with a lot of stuff. But he was absolutely the way this story, so what I'm saying, the story could be told differently given the whole murder angle or whatever, but they told this as a love story of sorts, which I think is way better. And really these two people were very devoted to each other in an unconventional way. You know, it's not, they'd never had a sexual relationship or anything like that. But honestly, I don't think that either one of them could have found a better spouse. You know, it's just, that wasn't a part of their relationship. And so, yeah, it's an interesting story, this wealthy woman and her butler, whatever. It's just not that interesting for me, because I'm not really interested in wealthy people's lives that much. So anyway, I'll get 8-Bit Christmas out of the way. I've already watched it, probably already reviewed it, and I do like, what's his name, Neil Patrick Harris, a lot as an actor. You know, we were talking about child actors, and this is a good example because you have a child actor in this that's a little girl who is terrible. She really is awful. And a lot of the time with child actors, you go, okay, well, it's really the director's fault too, you know, because you got to know how to use them. But Neil Patrick Harris, he was a child actor, and he turned out, like, you look at a lot of the child actors and then you go, okay, well, where are they now, right? And a lot of them just didn't end up staying with it or whatever. But he did, and he was, I mean, typecast as Doogie Howser, and then all of a sudden, you know, he's not the good son kind of person, you know. He's doing movies where he's kind of a bad guy, or, you know, maybe not a bad guy, but whatever. Not
a real character.
Yeah, he seems a little more real and interesting and whatever. Anyway, so 8-Bit Christmas, I don't rate it highly. I don't think it's worth watching, but I do think that if you're a Neil Patrick Harris fan, you'll want to go through it, because you want to go through everything he did. Anyway, so Stanleyville, I'll get that out of the way too. This was terrible. And James asked, well, what's it about? Well, it's about people who are selected to be, and it's kind of, you're wondering, well, are they selected by aliens or something? Like, who's selected them to play this game? It's and they're competing for the prize as a car, and they have 8 things, and one of them is, they're like 8 steps or whatever to compete, 8 parts of the whatever, and they're just silly things, and you go, okay, well, like, what could this possibly have to do with anything, and how do you even rate this stuff? And one of them was who can hold their breath the longest, but anyway, it's really silly, and I don't know if they even really had much of a script before they decided to start filming it. It's bad. So definitely not worth watching, and sad, because I think it was done in Canada, so it would have gotten funding from the government and stuff.
Well, from us.
To do, yeah. So anyway, I was cut off while reviewing the Indigo Girls, and I think that's probably, like, when I'm cut off while reviewing, I think, well, maybe my angels did that on purpose because I wasn't being nice enough or something like that, right? So that's possible, because I wasn't
nasty enough.
I was not being nice enough while I was reviewing this. But I will say that I don't know exactly where I was cut off, but 123 minutes of this, 80 minutes of this, and I don't understand why anybody would devote 123 minutes to making a documentary of sorts about the Indigo Girls. I was hoping for more music, because that's what I get these music things for James in the van, so that he can watch them while I'm chauffeuring around to hiking places, and then I get to listen to music, so it's kind of win-win, right? or
If there's music.
if there's music, but there really wasn't much for this one. And what music was there, I don't know that it was really worth writing home about or making a documentary about, or worth... See, I didn't know anything about the Indigo Girls before, and now I know a little bit more about them, having watched this. Maybe more than I'd want to know. I don't think I even want to look into what their music is like after this. Honestly, we were talking about how there was a lot of complaining in this. The Indigo Girls complaining about getting short shrift by the critics because they're folk musicians, and getting treated poorly because they're women and folk, and being treated poorly because they're just women in general. And like they were talking about sexism in the workplace, their workplace, right? And from sound men and stuff like that. And then they were talking
about... Did the guy say anything sexist? I think it was just contesting what they were laying down.
Yes, I think that's the case. So, and anyway, and they were talking about the fact that they're lesbians, and maybe that they should have gotten more publicity and stuff, or fame or whatever, but they were held back because of these things or whatever, and I disagree.
Were they complaining a bit about the media? I don't think so.
Anyway.
They're not media friendly.
No.
In other words, media kind of means...
So I did mention,
media.
I said video killed the radio star a long time before they even started. And they're not video friendly. Really.
That started
you
around
might
1980.
be sitting back there going, oh, well, Pauline, you don't look great. Well, I'm not trying to sell myself as a musician because I know I couldn't, but anyway, as much as I could write better songs than them. But I don't know that I could write better songs than them. So, that's one thing, I was comparing, I talked about Fortunate Son and how they did protest stuff better than these guys. I mean, sometimes you have to, well, for one thing, we were talking about the music and how you compare Creedence to Indigo Girls, because why not? We were listening to these back to back. So, there's a lot more instrumentation or whatever. There's a lot of different instruments, and they're played really well. And there's more interesting tunes and stuff like that. Like the songs they're very different. They're not...
There's a lot of variation in Creedence.
So...
The two main variants back then were rockabilly and blues.
I mean, I don't really care if they mic their acoustic guitars. It's two women playing acoustic guitars. And they don't seem to be playing different sort of... Like, they're not played in an interesting way. They're just strumming along, and who cares?
How do you make two guitars interesting? There are two main approaches.
It's really bad.
Tom Fogerty, John Fogerty's older brother by 3 years, was actually a pretty good rhythm guitar player. So it's basically just strumming out the rhythm, oftentimes quite fast rate. Excuse me, and then you got John Fogerty playing sometimes they're guitar figures, and then playing lead guitar during the guitar breaks over that. And then you got the Gordon Lightfoot. Well, the Gordon Lightfoot thing is a similar thing. Gordon Lightfoot's strumming earnestly, generally upbeat type of pattern. Quite finished, thank you. Apparently not. I wish they'd move on. I don't know what that is, but sounded like backfiring or something. And then he had a guy, like, was it Red Shea or something like that? Maybe other guitarists at other times. Playing lead or guitar figures and stuff like that. That's one approach. Then the other thing is the Rolling Stones approach, which is you've got kind of the guitars doing counterpoint and more like polyrhythms.
And well, I don't like one thing I don't like folk music or folk musicians for, I guess, is the whole political stuff. I don't like that, but and so they do that, and they were all for like the environment, playing for environmental things or whatever, and okay, that's great. And they decided, okay, well, they heard some native woman speaking, and then they thought, oh, that's what we should be doing, and so they funnel towards that. They get towards the supporting native rights and stuff, and that's great. And then, I mean, they're doing the whole supporting gay, trans, whatever. And that makes sense, okay. And the whole feminist angle, whatever. But then they really lost me when they started with the down on white people and wanting to diversify the population, bring lots of people into the or whatever, immigration reform or whatever. And if you are for just bringing lots and lots of people in to populate Western cultures, and they're from different cultures and whatever, you're actually not an environmentalist, and you're not for native rights, and you're not for gay trans rights either. So they're really dumb.
Women's
rights. So they're. I don't think I'm being any nicer with this review than I was with the one yesterday.
You're being too nice, actually. Notice you weren't going to say women's rights or whatever.
Yeah.
Working people's rights.
Anyway, so there's at one point in this, one of the women, she's talking about her wife and how her wife wanted to have a daughter or a child, and so they had a child, and they're raising this child in northern Georgia. Her and her wife raising this child in northern Georgia.
And they're not making a secret that they're married and the same sex.
Yeah, and that's great. But why are you raising your child in northern Georgia if you...
That's great for them if they want to expose themselves to those kind of dangers.
Sure, but if you want your child to be accepted by other children's parents or whatever, because she's complaining about... There's a lot of complaining in this.
And what happened to the kid once the news got around?
Well, the parents came over to meet her and her wife, and then their child was being shunned by the other parents' child.
Fun times for the child.
Because obviously the parents didn't want their child hanging around with. And I don't know what exactly. It might not be that they were lesbians. It might have been that they were calling down whatever. I mean, they seem really complainy about all sorts of things. So maybe they were just really in their face about something and whatever. I don't know.
It'd be about everything, really.
It might. But what I'm saying is, if you want to be, have a openly gay relationship and be accepted, go somewhere where you're accepted. I might sound sort of like a jerk or whatever, but I wouldn't expect to, you know, people might not even like James and I in Northern Georgia.
They would hate us.
So, you know, try Portland, Oregon. That might work out really well
Seattle.
for raising your child.
One of them came from, well, I think it was like Vermont or New Hampshire. Those states are actually fairly
No
conservative.
problem there.
But they're not like Georgia. Anyway, go to Massachusetts. Go to New York. Upstate New York. But don't, if they want to expose themselves to that type of shunning, that's their business. But when they're exposing a kid, especially a adopted kid to that is not right.
Anyway.
It's not right that people are shunning them for that sort of thing. But hey, we live in a real world, and you better adjust to it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're in for open immigration and trying to diversify the color of the population, expect more shunning. Because look it up. Look up where in the world there's you know, still laws against being gay, and some of them, you know, the death penalty. Look it up.
How many people are coming from that country?
Or from those countries, or whatever, right? It's just... Anyway, James is going to talk about these things. I'm going to get working.
So, I think I've said before, we reviewed another Creedence thing, that I only bought one Creedence album.
Well, we reviewed a John Fogerty thing.
Yes,
but yeah,
that was it, yeah. One Creedence album, and no John Fogerty albums. My whole record buying career. I eventually bought a CD collection, several records, maybe 6 or something like that. And they were well put together because they had 2 albums per CD in many cases. You know what I'm saying? It's like close to 80 minutes. I think it's 78 minutes, typical CD.
Yeah.
They did a great job packaging them. Might have been only 5 CDs, and it was not a lot of money. It was, they had a lot of their early stuff. It was very, very informative. It was early stuff when the older brother, Tom Fogerty, was the leader in the group. As I recall, the lead singer for much of the time kind of had a bleating voice. And it'd be hard to imagine a voice more contradistinction to John Fogerty. Bleating, powerful. Same sort of thing with the writing. You know, the writing in the early stuff is, well, it's like bad pop music. Got a little bit better, but you can see what happens when John Fogerty takes over the reins in terms of production, writing, singing, playing lead guitar, stuff like that. So they never were anything like my favorite band. They've got some of my favorite songs, like Fortunate Son. I'd never realized how good a job. I don't know if it made this on the previous review, the one that got cut. But Pauline and I were shocked at the same time. It's the first time she'd ever heard Creedence's version of Heard It Through the Grapevine, pretty close to the version they put out on record. And I never realized how impressed I should have been with it. Because even though they, like the vocal is almost copied note for note, including the falsetto from Marvin Gaye's. It's much more, shall we say, assertive vocal by John Fogerty. That's his style. And again, the music is, they take what's there and kind of strip it down. What is it? With Motown, they kind of have a light feel to that. With Creedence, it's heavy. And the message is heavy. This is how you do cover versions. You don't change them around. Whatever you do, don't slow them down unless you've actually got a reason for slowing it down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily recommend
it. Just
speeding.
When people slow them
up.
down, it just looks like they're not capable of doing it as well, and that's why they slowed it down.
Yeah. Speeding it up.
I think that's always the case.
Yeah. Speeding it up, all you got to do is listen to Ike and Tina Turner's version of Proud Mary. They slow it down.
Work.
Stupid. Then they speed it up. We always do things nice. We don't like doing things nice and easy. We always do things nice and rough.
I mean,
no, the whole thing is.
Proud Mary's a steamboat, right?
Yeah.
Why is it going so fast?
It's not a motorboat.
It's not a motorboat.
It's not a hydrofoil. For Pete's sake. So it's actually got what I imagine a paddle wheeler sounds like. It's kind of revolving around. Gosh, how can you change that? Like, it's going around like something you'd see in a cartoon, like where someone was stoking the steam thing, or put made it nuclear powered. It's just stupid. And the slower thing is left. I think it's Ike singing it. I can't remember.
It's just bad both ways.
Wow, you sound so excited, eh? No.
Yeah, just when you're doing a cover, it's nice to show that, oh, I like this stuff, whatever, but if you can't do it better than the original people, don't even try.
No.
So, and heard it through the grapevine. I mean, it's tough to do it better than the original. I still think the original's better, but this is so very different.
Yeah. It stands on its own.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat Marvin Gaye.
What a voice.
Best. And he didn't have the greatest range. He's not like Aretha Franklin, nor the greatest power, but he really was smooth and that sort of stuff. And Motown has the backup women singers. It's got the equivalent to the Wrecking Crew, which was the Los Angeles studio backup group in the 60s, but the Motown guys were just awesome, absolutely awesome. But Creedence did their own interpretation. Now sometimes you can slow things down. There was a song called "Oh Lonesome Me," kind of like by, what was his name, Gibson or something like that. Don Gibson? Definitely not Mel Gibson. And it kind of works against it. Everybody's going out having fun. I'm a fool for staying home having fun. I can't get over how she set me. You notice how it's kind of jaunty. Oh, lonesome